March on Quel'Danas opens March 31st, and if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you already know that this is going to be different. This isn't a new raid, this is a homecoming 18 years in the making, and today I'm going to tell you exactly what happened on the island, why it broke the Blood Elves, and what it means to the fact we're going back. Quick geography lesson because this is important. Quel'Danas is a small island off the northern tip of Quel'Danas, the Blood Elf homeland. It sits in the mouth of the Sunwell, the font of magical energy that the High Elves built their entire civilization around for 10,000 years. Everything the Elves were, their power, their culture, their identity, flowed from that single source of light. The island existed on the purpose to house and protect the Sunwell, and it was sacred, it was untouchable, and then Arthas walked through it. In Warcraft 3, Arthas Menethil led the Scourge through Quel'Danas on his way to resurrect Kel'Thuzad, which he needed the Sunwell's energy to do so. So he marched through the entire kingdom, killed 90% of the High Elf population, corrupted the Sunwell with Kel'Thuzad's remains, and left. Just left. The Sunwell, 10,000 years of sacred history, became a conduit for undead power and then collapsed entirely. The elves who'd survived renamed themselves the Blood Elves in mourning, and Quel'Danas, the most sacred place in their world, became a ruin. Then, in the Burning Crusade of 2007, patch 2.4, we went back. Kel'Thas Sunstrider, the Blood Elf prince who'd spent the entire expansion slowly losing his mind to fel magic and demonic promises, had returned to Quel'Danas with the Burning Legion. His plan was to use the Sunwell to summon Kil'jaeden into Azeroth. Players fought through the Sunwell Plateau, killed Kel'Thas, who'd already been killed once in Tempest Keep, because apparently the lesson didn't take the first time. And then in the final encounter, a Draenei prophet named Velen and a restored Naru helped purify the Sunwell with the soul of a fallen hero named Aniva. The Sunwell came back, Quel'Danas was saved, and we didn't go back there for 18 years. Here's where Midnight picks up. The expansion opens with the Sunwell under threat once again. This time from something called the Light Bloom, a surge of corrupted holy energy that's warping Quel'Danas from the inside. The zone is changing, the wildlife is mutating. World bosses are spawning from creatures supercharged by the energy, and the source of all this points back to the Isle, back to Quel'Danas, and back to the Sunwell. March on Quel'Danas is Season 1 raid that opens on March 31st. It's not a side story, it's not optional content. That is the Blood Elves marching on their own sacred island to defend it again. From a threat that has once turned their greatest source of hope into a weapon against them, well, what are we actually walking into? Well, March on Quel'Danas opens on March 31st on normal, heroic, and mythic simultaneously. No staggered difficulty unlocked this time. If your guild is ready for mythic on day one, the door is now open. The encounter that everyone needs to know about is called Midnight Falls. That's the mythic difficulty encounter, and it's the one that drops the Ashes of Belleran. I covered this mount on the Season 1 video, but I want to give it its full moment here because it deserves it. Belleran is a phoenix, one of Alar's last clutch, taken to the Isle of Quel'Danas especially to defend the Sunwell. The in-game lore says, death will never claim him, a phoenix cannot die, born from the blood of his most iconic mount in World of Warcraft's history, guarding the place Blood Elves have fought to protect for 18 years, and that's just not a cosmetic reward, that is a full-on story. So, let me be direct about who this raid is going to be for, because the answer is basically everyone. If you're a raider, this content is the season of content for you. The Mythic Mount is genuinely rare, and the encounter design around the Sunwell is going to be visually spectacular. If you're a lore fan, there's a story mode that opens April 7th, and there's no excuses for skipping it. This is going to be the most narratively significant location in 18 years of World of Warcraft history, and Blizzard knows it. And if you play a Blood Elf, I genuinely don't know what you've been doing for the past 3 weeks of Midnight, but if you haven't been building towards this moment, we need to get that sorted out. The Blood Elves have lost everything. They rebuilt from nothing, they've spent 18 years reclaiming who they are, through the Magisters, through the Farstriders, through the Blood Knights, through Lothamar quietly becoming one of the best written characters in the game. And on March 31st, they marched back to the place where it all fell apart. That's not a raid. It's going to be their reckoning. So, should you run much on Quel'Danas? Yes, immediately. Here's some cases. The lore payoff is real. Blizzard has been building to Quel'Danas since Midnight was announced in its delivery. The Ashes of Belleron on the Mythic Mount will not return this tier. This is a window, and that's it. No additionals, no go backs, no time walking. Then, the Raid Finder and Story Mode will open April 7th. There is genuinely no barrier to anyone not seeing the story end, regardless of how you play the game. Quel'Danas has been sitting there for 18 years, and on March 31st, we go back. Don't miss it. If you want the full context of everything happening at Midnight right now, the blood of history, the factions, the key figures, there is a lore series on the channel, and it was built especially for this moment. So subscribe if you don't want to miss the breakdown of what actually happens in the raid once we have a chance to clear it. Drop a comment below. Are you going for Boran? And I want to know how the progression's going. And then I will see you in Quel'Danas.